a little YouTube live here. I have got, I don't know, 25 minutes or so to kill. I'm waiting on some physical therapy. So I got to the therapist a little bit earlier than I thought I would. Thought the traffic would be worse, and it turned out not to be so bad. So I've got a little bit of time, so I thought I'd hop on and chat with you guys and see how you're doing. So waiting on folks to arrive here, and a couple. A couple interesting. Well, one interesting thing that I thought was I was quite pleased. I did a video this morning entitled something. I had to respond to it or something like that, and that video, a lot of you have seen it, was referring to a guy named Michael Riley who had triple bypass while being on Carnivore, and I put what I felt was the information that was available, responding to this Dr. Terry Simpson guy who, obviously thinks carnivore is stupid and we should all be a Mediterranean diet and so on and so forth. But Michael, the guy who was actually discussed by him in the video, said he watched my video and he said pretty much what you said was spot on. So anyway, I feel a little bit, happy to see that what I tried to represent was the best, to the best of my ability, was truthful, and to get confirmation from that was good. All right, so let me answer some questions. Like I said, I got about 20 minutes before I head in for physical therapy for the neck. On the good news, neck's feeling a lot better. I mean, shouldn't say neck. Neck has never really hurt. It's all been arm and arm pain. Due to the radiating neuropathy or radiculopathy, and so last couple of days, hey, it's getting better. Less pain. Still pretty good numbness in these two, but the sort of burning, stabbing pain is definitely subsiding. So that's a good thing. So I don't know if it's a combination of intentionally going a little deeper into ketosis, or the combination of physical therapy, a little acupuncture, all those things. Irrespective of that, got some good sleep. I got some good sleep the last couple of days, so I'm in a much better place mentally, because it's like when you don't sleep, for some of you guys have had periods where you just don't sleep, and after a while that grinds on you. But anyway, let me say hi to folks. Holly Crazy saying hi, Doc. Hi, Holly, how are you? And Jennifer, Texas Carnivore is back again. Howdy from Texas. Captain Tom from Guam. I like that. Captain Tom from Guam. We got Sonia Lane from California. Good to see you. And we got Tyler C. from Bangor, Maine. I've been to Bangor once. Kind of funny story. I was on my way to Afghanistan, right? So this is back in 2007. So I fly out January 2007, I believe. Might have been in December 2006. I can't remember exactly when I got there. Actually, I think it was December 2006. But flying there, we go up from Norfolk, Virginia, and we stop in Bangor, Maine. It must have been 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, with all 400 or 500 of us on a big, commercial plane, all military gear. And these little old ladies come out with a lobster bisque as here you go, troops. We're trying to support you. Sweet of them to do that. That's been my only time in Maine, my only visit to Bangor. So I'll be back one day. Hi from Clovis, California, says Tina Cox. I've never been to Clovis. I don't know where that is. I've been to Clovis, New Mexico. And as you may know, that Clovis was considered the early man. That for many, many years, Clovis man was thought to be the first, peoples to have inhabited North America. Well, it turns out that, and that was something like 12, 15,000 years. But it turns out now they're finding significant evidence that maybe 25, 30,000 years, even some people speculate even 100,000 years ago, that there were men or humans inhabiting North America. So that Clovis first sort of philosophy has sort of gone by the wayside. Jensen says hello. Danny Dreeland from Ireland. And we got Kobe Strong from Ghana. Oh, nice. Good to see some folks. Got to see some folks in all parts of the world being represented. Potato Man, the steak baker, is back. Nellie Doughty. Sorry. Hey, Doc, you've been pretty chatty lately. Good to see you in New Hampshire here. Well, thanks. Jennifer and Carlos, my son's still doing swimming in addition to soccer. He is doing both of those. It's, soccer season, I suspect, to be winding down as the weather turns, but yeah, he's swimming pretty much several times a week. Doing quite well at that, in fact. Number one meat eater kid, with you all the way, Dr. Becker. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oscar Rodriguez, good to hear. Minky from New York, and we got Gardens from Brazil, and Nomadic Bee greetings from the high plain deserts of northern Arizona. The high plains, I don't know if that's up near Flagstaff or Winslow, Arizona. the old Eagle song, you know. I've driven down, you know, what is that, I-40? Yeah, I-40, back and forth, New Mexico, Albuquerque to Phoenix, you know, well, Flagstaff and then down to Phoenix many, many, many times. So, Rick Huffman, Doc, could you expand a little on your thoughts of feeding a carnivore diet for dogs? Thanks. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the big thing, I mean, dogs thrive on meat. I mean, they do great. They are literally just wolves. I mean, effectively. I mean, they've been bred a little bit, but I mean, they're effectively wolves, and they have basically the same nutritional requirements in my view. What I will say is that dogs do not do well on fatty meat, though. They need leaner cuts of meat. It's not that they can't have fatty meat, but well, they'll often end up with diarrhea. The reason for that is that dogs just have a lower per energy requirement than humans do per size. You know, a 150-pound human versus a 150-pound dog. 150-pound human is going to require more calories. You know, unless the dog is like a, you know, working sled dog or something like that. But dogs, you know, their brains are much smaller, and this is why humans, in many ways, require more energy, whether it's fat or carbs. But you know, particularly fat. If you're not eating carbs, you know, you need more fat. So you can't do you can't do an all lean meat diet, rabbit starvation. We know that, you know, it's a problem. So you need a requisite amount of fat, and dogs just don't quite have that requirement. So my dogs, I mix up ground beef, ground turkey, cook it up together. They like it cooked. One of the little one, Maximus, he's right there. I don't even see him. Can you guys see him? Where's Maxie? He's hanging out in the chair with me. He goes with me everywhere. He's like my mascot, literally. He just doesn't. I fed him raw, and he was like, you know, kind of spoiled. So they get it cooked up. But yeah, man, my dogs just meat. That's all they get. I don't go out of my way to feed them eggs or organ meats or you know, bones or anything like that. Just meat, and they're fine. So. Oscar Rodriguez, hello from Miami. Danny Dreeland, see yourself going back to jiu-jitsu, dealing with neck niggle myself. I'm not sure if it's worth it. I certainly would like to. I mean, you know, like I said, I'm not out of the woods yet. I mean, I'm still here at physical therapy. I still have some pain. It's getting better though. I'm really happy to see I'm starting to turn the corner on that. You know, irrespective of whether I go back to jiu-jitsu or not, what I want to do is, you know, obviously become asymptomatic with this, you know, as quickly as possible, and then seriously work on strengthening my neck, get back to, you know, I can, you know, got neck harnesses and other ways to do that, and maybe get back into the wrestlers bridges and stuff like that. Just because that's, you know, it's a chink in the armor, right? You've identified an area of weakness for whatever reason. And, you know, I mean, I've got a really long neck. You know, I got a really long kind of skinny neck, not skinny anymore, but pretty long. And so I've got this mechanical leverage, I suppose, disadvantage when it comes to potential for injury. So I need to protect that better. So irrespective of whether I go back to jiu-jitsu. Now my personal desire is, yes, I'd love to go back because I had so much fun. Even though, like I said, even though there's injury and even though there's all this stuff, the reward I get from that, you know, outstrip that for sure. Now, family doesn't, you know, my significant other, she's mad. Oh, I don't want you doing jiu-jitsu, getting hurt, you know, all that stuff. So I got to deal with that aspect. But I would like to go back, absolutely. But I got to get my neck and body, you know, built up to where it's, you know, and you know, I would probably go back in a way where I wouldn't be doing any live rolling for a while. I'd have to work on some things. You know, this is a 6-month sort of deal. Genios, hi from Washington State. Well, hi back from Washington State. I'm sitting here right now in, where am I at? Bothell? Mill Creek? I can't remember. I think I'm in either Mill Creek or Bothell. I can't remember where I'm at. Anyway, Carnivore Can, ultramarathoners have a higher CAC score. That could be my problem. Should I go on the statin? My cardiologist says CAC will rise with or without the statin. You know, I can't tell you for sure. I mean, that's hard to say. I mean, I don't know enough about you. You know, like I said, you know, statins do tend to increase CAC scores, or they can. Some of the, you know, if they're soft prac, the thought is, at least what they say is that it stabilizes the plaque, and therefore calcification is good. That some people question the logic behind that. You know, I think you've got to look at, I mean, your overall situation, and I can't make that decision for you. I mean, I think, I can say the last time I checked coronary artery calcium scan, it was 0. So I mean, I've got sort of a different framework, and you are right that athletes, like particularly distance runners, have been shown to have increased rates of vascular aging for some reason. It might have been, and I don't know what your diet was in the past. Maybe you're slamming down a bunch of gels and eating a bunch of carbs to maintain the high amounts of volume that you were doing in years past. That could have been it. So that could have been all due to that, and maybe it's been stable since. So it's hard to say. It's really hard to make a definite recommendation based upon a single snapshot if you don't see the trend. Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it stable? Don't know. Jim Jabs from Marietta, Georgia. Had a girlfriend who used to live in Marietta. I mean, I dated her, and then we no longer dated, and she moved to Marietta. So anyway, I've been to Alpharetta. Minky says 20 hours intermittent fasting in progress. All right. Stuck in California here, home of GMO food, says Timothy Sokol. And Selena Girl, 69 from Salina. How do you say it? Salina or Salina? Probably Salina, Kansas. Tina Cox, enjoying my carnivore. Somebody used to know, says Tehran, Iran. Interesting. Oscar Rodriguez, thumbs up to the doctor. Thank you. And Canada tuning in from SR Cooper. Northern Stretch Stitchers from Anchorage, Alaska. Good to have you here. That's one place I've never been to, Alaska. So that's one of the states like I said, I've been to about 42, 43 states. And, Alaska's one I haven't been to. And then I've got just a little cluster up in New England I got to get to. But one day. Low carb, low drama. Just wondering whether you'll be speaking at Low Carb Down Under 2023 this weekend. Is that in Australia? No, I won't be. Not even sure where that's at. So I assume that's in Australia. Tina Cox is in the Fresno County area. And Crazy Dog says hi from Sacramento. So, and Kathy Muniz from Southern California. Got a whole bunch of Californians in a row. Jennifer Monzis from the Wisconsin-Minnesota border. Hello. Charles Rohr, Idaho. Stoking the Fire from Kansas, another Kansian. I don't know how you say it. What do you guys say? Steak Time says hi, doctor. And Sonoma says hi from Sonoma County, California. There's yet another one. I guess there's 40 million people or so living in California, so you expect to see quite a few of them at any given time. Christopher Rogers says, is it true? I'm not sure what it is. Sorry. Rune Yitri, I think is how you say it. Hi from Oslo, Norway. Well, I'd like to get up to Norway one day. I understand it's very expensive in Norway. It's one of the most expensive countries in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. Keto G in the buff. G in the buff from Canada. Good to see you. You think swimming is an optimal sport, safer when it comes to reduced impact injury as you tall like you? It's a huge benefit too. Interesting. Sunshine, can you share a little bit on a carnivore diet for my 12-year-old athlete's son? Well, I mean, again, here's my take on a carnivore diet. I'm the guy that literally wrote the book on the carnivore diet, right? This is, I use it as, I think it's a therapeutic tool, right? It is a therapeutic tool to address disease conditions. Some people prefer it as a dietary preference, but that's how I approach it. And so with a kid, if he's completely healthy, probably doesn't need to be on a carnivore diet. Now, what would I say? I'd say kid needs to eat a lot of meat, a lot of animal protein, animal fat, load up on that stuff, make sure they get plenty of that, hit their protein requirements, hit their satiety, keep the junk out of their way, teach them that, a steak or whatever or equivalent is going to keep them from wanting that garbage and demonstrate to them, hey, look, did you notice when you ate that big steak that you didn't want the junk food? And you train them that is what we're trying to get there. We want to eat because of nutrition, not because of, we're being marketed to or addicted to, blah, 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 on and on. So, but, kids that if they do decide to go carnivore, they're going to need to eat a lot of food. right? I mean, they got to make sure because they're growing, they're obviously very active, particularly if he's an athlete. So you're going to need to make sure they're eating plenty of food to maintain that. Adam XLG, do you eat sardines? Not on a regular. Not really. I don't really like them that much, so I don't really eat them. I've had them, I don't know, a couple times in my carnivore existence, but or even in my whole life. I think I've eaten sardines, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a month. Ian Garnashell, thank you so much, Dr. Baker. No other channel talks about our fur kids. Bless you. Well, I mean, we're literally in charge of feeding our animals. And I think, like I said, if you got an animal, take care of it. I mean, it's irrespective of you believe in eating animals or not. But I mean, if you got a pet, I think it's part of your duty to make sure that pet is well cared for and fed well. And I think part of that, obviously, is feeding them food that makes them thrive. And I think I think this is a great experience. If you got a dog that's like old and fat and smelly and all that stuff, bad eyesight, arthritic, and they're eating like kibbly stuff, put them on carnivore for a month or two. Make sure you don't overdo the fat, right? Minimal fat, and see what happens to them. It's literally like a miracle. All right, we got a $20. I think this is Canadian $20 from Bishop's Deep Learning. 4 months carnivore. I eat only grass-fed ground beef and steak, and I do the big 3 squat, deadlift, bench a couple times a month. What is the next step to further optimize my performance? Thanks. Well, I'm not sure what your goal is. I mean, if your goal is to compete in powerlifting, again, I don't know if you have a weight class limit or something. So there's a lot of things I don't know here, and I don't know how old you are, but again, so there's something that I don't know. Let's just assume you're 40 years of age, and I don't know if you are, but whatever, or 30 or 50 or something like that. It's similar advice. I think, from my perspective, obviously good nutrition. Carnivore diet is in my view, very good nutrition. I think I would focus on, if you're younger, building muscle mass. If you're older, maintaining lean muscle mass. And then beyond that, I think, obviously the strength training, I think you need to do some hypertrophy work. I think you need to do some level of explosive, like sprinting, explosive works, bike sprints, rowing sprints, jumping, if you can. I mean, this is something you want to develop. You want to develop those skills. You want to be able to be explosive and reactive at an older age. And if you don't build it in your 30s or 40s, it's going to be really hard to pick it up later. So those are the things I would look at. And then I would also look at, some level of conditioning, whether it's, sprint interval training or high intensity interval training. And then also, I think you should minimize sedentary time. If I'm sitting, can I be standing? If I'm standing, can I be walking? And think about those types of things. Obviously, dialing in your sleep. That's a huge. I mean, I think the real big pillars are nutrition, sleep, and activity. Those are the big 3. If you don't get those 3 right, I don't care how many friggin' cold plunges you take or sauna sessions or red light therapies or, whatever the latest supplement, it doesn't matter. I mean, those things are, if you don't take care of the basics, you're building your base on a house of sand. And so you've got to hit those things in a way that does that. All right, guys, I've got time for about 2 more minutes, and then I got to get to my therapy session. So, all right, Niall Function, this is a treat. Hey, Niall, good to see you, man. I hope things are going well up in Chicago for you. Nomadic Giants, is there any health reason to avoid beef and butter altogether? Any reason to avoid beef and butter together? Or is it just an unsubstantiated religious belief? Well, I mean, no, I don't think either of those products are inherently bad for us. I mean, I can make an argument that butter maybe is a rendered concentrated fat. Consumed in excess might lead to, for some people, weight gain, but for many people, just, diarrhea, basically. But generally, yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of nonsense that we would be avoiding beef or butter. given most people's context. Clive Hampton, do you think vitamin A can be toxic in excess, and even liver and organs can be dangerous for individuals with too much accumulated vitamin A? Well, I mean, you've already sort of made this tautologic argument. You said if you've got too much of something, you're already by definition saying there's a problem there. So, yeah, I mean, you could overconsume vitamin A, certainly. Is it like a real common thing? I question that. I mean, I know there's some people out there like this nutrition detective guy or whatever is maintaining that all these people have vitamin A toxicity, and I'm not convinced that's really happening. I think most people can probably eat some eggs or some liver in moderation and do fine. I mean, yeah, you could do it excessively, I'm sure. I don't eat liver. I don't like the damn stuff. I certainly don't think it's necessary, for sure. There's this sort of belief that, well, it's full of all these nutrients and stuff like that. And that's fine, but so is a freaking multivitamin. It's like, and well, it's natural, but it's like there's a point where you get enough. And do you need to just eat excessive amounts of this stuff? Is it necessary? Is my belief, and I feel pretty, confident about this belief, is that, meat is good. I mean, it's good, but I mean, I think it's sufficient for probably the vast majority of people's, nutritional requirements. I mean, there's some exceptions, or maybe some people that initially are very depleted or in some kind of depleted state where they might want to augment that a little bit. But I think for the general person, it's quite unnecessary. I mean, this is what the data that Harvard University published when they did their study. It's the same information that I got when I took data on 12,000 people doing the diet. So it's just based on real world experience, and that's the best I can do. Michael Anthony. Hey, what's going on, Michael? Good to see you, man. Michael Anthony. Check it from New York City. Our mayor promotes a plant-based diet and speaks out against meat. Doing my best to spread the truth. Yeah, what's his name? Eric Adams, knucklehead, vegan. You elect a vegan, and, he starts, I'm going to do a plant-based centered life, and just, nonsense. I mean, it's just like, why don't you just just tell people stop eating processed garbage? It would have at least, the same effect, if not a much better effect, clearly. But anyway, all right, guys, I unfortunately got to run. It's good chatting with you. Got to go do a little next therapy, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and